Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Angela Brennan and today I'm bringing you many Spellbinders Club kits from January 2025, and I start off by showing you the Glimmer of the month, the elliptical weave, and it comes with some sentiments as well as a hot foil roll. This time it comes with the Aura hot foil. I also show you the BetterPress of the month, and that comes later in the video. I've time stamped it so you can just go to the club kit that you want to watch. I start off by cutting the Aura hot foil and placing the dull side against the Hammermill card, which is ideal for hot foiling, and the pretty side of the foil faces the pretty side of the Glimmer plate, and I secure it with some best ever craft tape and place it on the heated platform of the Glimmer hot foil system. Then I make sure it's heated up and I press the timer. Once the timer button stops blinking, I put the whole platform through the Platinum 6 machine. I do it back and forth just a couple of times to press that hot foil into the card, and then I remove the best ever craft tape carefully, leaving one side attached so I can just check to see whether it's hot foil properly, and when it is, I just can remove it and see how beautifully it's transferred onto the card. And that's the Hammermill card. It really always gives really good results because it's nice and smooth. Now I'm going to use a couple of solid rectangle plates. You've got the Spellbinders one and the Catherine Pooler one to get the negative image of the hot foil. I prefer using the larger Glimmer plate so that I get a larger image transferred. It's the same principle. So you got the dull side of the hot foil against the paper, and you got the pretty side of the hot foil facing the solid rectangle. You leave it in the timer in the same timing and put it through the Platinum 6 machine, and you can see it transferred onto the Hammermill card quite beautifully. Once you remove that top layer, you should see the clear plastic, and that is an indication that all the hot foil is successfully transferred onto the Hammermill card, and I get a really solid image here, and I can use that. This is why I end up making at least 10 cards, because you've got the positive and negative images as well. And here I've transferred it onto some colored card. If it's colored card, make sure it's as smooth as possible, because if the card is not too smooth, the transfer will not be great. Here's some BetterPress sentiments which I've hot foiled as well, and I'll show you in more detail later on in the video when I show you the BetterPress of the month. I've die cut it, and I love it when sentiments come with coordinating dies. It makes it so much easier. Here are all the hot foiling background that I've done with the elliptical weave. Quite a few I've done, and of course you have got the negative image as well, which makes for many cards. I'm using the Spellbinders Precision Layering A2A die set to die cut the hot foiled images, the positive and negative images, into A2 size cards. I'm also having some mats to go with it. I like putting some mats on the backgrounds because I think it's nice and to have a nice border, a slim border when you put it onto the card. And all the cards I make today are A2 size cards, which measure 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. I'm attaching the mats as well as the layers onto the card base with double-sided tape. You can use liquid glue as well, but I've always preferred using double-sided tape, and this is how I use it, by removing partially the double-sided tape and then placing it onto where I want to put it before I press it down and remove the rest of the tape. It's just a method I've used and it works for me. I've not used any foam here. I use it in a couple of cards, but mostly I did not because I want to have the cards quite flat so it can go through the post quite easily. And here are all the sentiments that came with the Glimmer of the month that I have hot foiled and die cut using whatever sentiment dies I have. This long die cut is from the September 2024 Club Kit bonus item die that I used to die cut that sentiment. I'm going to be placing the sentiment, the center here, with the aid of a T ruler, and I've gone on the same color. I didn't want to introduce another color because I think I wanted the elliptical weave with the gold on the darker background to really stand out. And this little die cut of flowers comes from the small die of the month. I've got another video that shows you how I use the small die of the month, Soaring Dragonfly, and I've got that link in the description below, or you can head over to my YouTube channel, Angela Brennan Creations, to check it out. I do lots of Spellbinders Club kits. I'm not always timely, but I always try to get it out. And I hope you enjoy seeing the different ways that I use the Spellbinders Club kits. And in this background of the elliptical weave, because it's a lovely background, I use quite a few of the Spellbinders club kits to showcase how I do various different compositions. Now here I'm using the sentiment that I've hot foiled from the BetterPress of the month, and just layered it and attaching it to the card front in the center. It's a perfect center there because of the way the elliptical weaves have been put together. So I've just placed that sentiment in the center, and I've got all the flower and leaf dies that I've done there. I've got that all from the large die of the month. The large die of the month, rather than introduce a different color, I decided to die cut and layer all of them in white because I wanted that elliptical weave in gold against that teal background to stand out. Sometimes I do that. I use a lot of white die cuts, and even it needs layering, I just use the same color because I think the tone on tone sometimes looks really nice and classy. And that's what I've done here. I'll have a separate video showcasing how I put together the large die of the month because it's a lovely die of the month, and I am going to include another video hopefully by the end of this month, definitely by the end of this month, so you can see how I put that together. And I've layered some of the flowers here with some really thin dimensional tape, and there you go. I'm just keeping the card really simple. And that's the beauty of having a hot foil background. You can keep it simple, you can add a little bit more. Here I've got the negative hot foil background, and I decide to use the dragonfly from the small die of the month. Because I've done the dragonflies in two different colors, I end up with two dragonflies. So you'll see me use one dragonfly with the background from the negative hot foil, and the other dragonfly I put it on the positive image of the hot foil, so you get to see the negative hot foil is lovely, but it's very, very shiny, and sometimes you can't see the true color because it's reflecting on all the various backgrounds around my craft station, and you can see so many different colors go through it like a prism. So that's the other card that I've done here, where I'm going to be layering it, do a bit of matting, and I'm going to put the other dragonfly. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And when you do subscribe, remember to press the notification bell so you're alerted when new videos are uploaded. There are so many ways you can use this background. In fact, one of the things you can do is also do some ink blending, because there's something called hot foil resist, where when you do ink blending, all the ink will resist the areas that are hot foiled. It's not something I've shown here, but I've shown it in previous hot foil videos that I've done. So you can do so many techniques, and I can't show all of it with one hot foiled club kit. So I will show you various hot foil club kits in the year, where every month, because I am going to be showcasing all of the Spellbinders club kits every month for the rest of the year, and I'm quite excited about that. The next card shows how I use the stitching die of the month, and that's where I get this little cute ladybird here. The thing about Spellbinders club kits is they release the club kits by theme, and therefore you can use the club kits together. So you can use them with various different club kits. So even if you get one or two, you can use them together and you will get a beautiful creation out of it. Here I've just used the thank you so much from the sentiment that comes with the stitching die of the month, and I'll have a separate video showing how I do that. And this beautiful butterfly is from the BetterPress of the month, and the later part in this video I'll show you how I put that butterfly together, how I hot foil it and do some stenciling as well, and color it with the stencil that comes as part of the bonus item. Very simple assembly of these cards because I want the elliptical weave hot foiled background to really show through. So I'm just using all the various club kits that come in this month's caboodle set. Really, if you get the entire deluxe caboodle set, you will get the bonus item as well. So I'm just showcasing how I use that. And here I'm using the clear stamp and die of the month, and I love it when it comes with sentiments because the sentiments go so well with the theme of the month. So all of the sentiments here can be used with the theme of the month because you've got butterflies and dragonflies, and it's all about flying, and lots of thank you cards as well. And that's brilliant for this time of the year where you want to send out thank you cards or even birthday cards. Perfect. So this sentiment set is something I really adore, and I use it for almost every single card that I do, every single club kit, not every single card, every single club kit that I do. And sometimes when I stamp with a dye ink and the dye ink dries too fast, I leave the stamp in the platform and stamp it with some clear embossing ink so I can sprinkle clear embossing powder onto it so that it's nice and shiny. I like my sentiments to be shiny, and again, all of these sentiments come with coordinating dies, which is absolutely great because then I can die cut it and do some layering. I like the sentiments to be shiny as well as some dimension. Spellbinders Club Kits can be ordered between the 6th and the 27th of each month, and if you miss it and if there's still stock, you can check it out in the past kits. There's a separate link, and I'll put that in the description below. I've got all the products used linked in the description below as much as I can include. And this today on the 23rd of January 2025, there's a blog up of all the Spellbinders January Club Kits, and I've got a link to it below. So if you follow that link, you can check out all the other crafters that I've shown, the various cup kits within the Spellbinders release in January 2025. Here are all the cards that I've created with the elliptical weave of the Glimmer kit of the month. I've kept it really simple because I love using all the other club kits of the month to showcase the beautiful background. You don't need to do too much with it. There are so many other techniques you can do as well, but there's only so much I can show in one video. So I hope you enjoyed seeing how I use the Glimmer Hot Foil kit of the month. The negative images, which is really shiny, you can't see the true color of it on the video. In real life, it's actually really pretty and not so garish, the colors, because I think here, because they're reflecting on all the different surfaces around my craft space, you see a myriad of colors. And here is the dragonfly, which I absolutely adore, and I loved creating it, and you can see a separate video of it linked below as well. This dragonfly is so adorable. Next, I'm going to show you how I use the BetterPress of the month, and the BetterPress of the month, I use it as hot foil. I will showcase it next time. Next month, I'll show you how I use it as a BetterPress as well as hot foil. This month, I'm only doing some hot foiling, and I love the fact that it comes with 3 beautiful sentiments, and the sentiments come with coordinating dies, as do the 2 butterflies of differing sizes. So these are all the items that come with the BetterPress of the month, and I start off by doing some hot foiling. And firstly, I hot foil all 3 sentiments, and this is great because I use all my scrap hot foil, so you can see it's being hot foiled by 3 different hot foil colors. I think you've got the Aura, Cobalt Blue, as well as Black. And it's the same way of hot foiling Glimmer plates that you do for BetterPress of the month as well. The only difference is you get 2 for 1 with your BetterPress plates, whereas your Glimmer, you can only Glimmer because you cannot use your Glimmer plates for letter pressing. It's one way. So I like using the BetterPress plates to do hot foiling. And here is the sentiments that have come out so beautifully, and I will die cut them using the coordinating dies later on. And here I'm going to be using the hot foil that comes with the Glimmer of the month, which is the Aura hot foil, and I'll be hot foiling the butterflies because there's so much of the hot foil there. I'm actually also going to place the sentiments around so that I'm not wasting my hot foil. So it just needs a little bit of moving around and then attaching it with some best ever craft tape so you keep it in the right space when you put it through the hot foil machine. So it's really easy to use the BetterPress, even if you want to do some letter pressing. And I'll show that next month when I do some letter pressing where I want to use the letterpress method as well as the hot foiling. Here, I didn't want the video to be too long because I'm showcasing both the club kits at the same time. But it's a very easy thing to use. Not everyone's got a letterpress machine, but if you do want to use it for hot foiling, perfect. Because the hot foiling, I've never been disappointed with it because it comes out really beautifully. Just remember to use the same principles, the same card, the same timing on your Glimmer hot foil system as well. And this month, the bonus item, so you get the bonus item when you buy the deluxe caboodle, and that means you get all 10 club kits of the month and you'll get the bonus item. This month, the bonus item is a stencil. It's a 3-piece stencil that is ideal to color the butterflies, both the butterflies. So that's what I'm going to show you now, how I use the stencils to color the butterflies. Now, if you don't have the stencils, you can still color the butterflies because you can use the ink blending method, because you know the ink blending method, it works when you do hot foiling because the hot foil will resist the ink. So if you do letterpressing, obviously you can't if you don't have the stencils, but you can always do a freehand coloring. I'm using the stencils here, and I'm using my alternate inks to do some ink blending. I didn't want to have it all the same color, so I'm putting, because butterflies are never really the same color. They get some really colorful and beautiful butterflies, so I'm trying to emulate that by doing some ink blending here with some blue, red, and purple. Now, I didn't really need to use the purple because where the blue and red meets, you will get purple. So I tend to do that with a smaller butterfly. But for the larger butterfly, I decided to use the three colors. And I use both butterflies, the similar colors, to get a similar look because I'm going to put it onto the same card. In between the different colors I'm using, I do wipe the color on the stencil, the residue color on the stencil, with a dry cloth because I don't want to contaminate the color, because if not, you won't really see the differentiation of the color, especially when you're using different colors and you know they can blend. The last thing you want is to get a mud color. So some of these inks here, while I'm showing you how I'm doing it, once it dries, sometimes it can get a little bit lighter. So it does lighten as it gets dry, but I did go back, and when you see the final card, I did go back and do the same color a couple of times so you get a more intense color or ink blended color, because I wanted something more intense. Now what I didn't do here, and you could do if you have this, is you can use your pastes, your glimmer paste, your glacier paste, your embossing paste with this to do some of the layers. So you can use that. But I decided this time I'm just going to use the stencil to just do some ink blending. And that's the great thing about stenciling. You can do so much. You can even do some sprays. So if you've got your stencil and you're using the letterpress, because the letterpress you use a cotton card, and if you use your sprays, it'll work really well because it's like a watercolor card. Therefore, it'll withstand some water. It can withstand more water. I'm just giving you different ideas and ways you can use this stencil that comes as part of the bonus item. And that's the thing about the bonus item, it always comes with an element that can use with another club kit. So it's really, really complements the entire set. You can do without it, but with it, it makes it so much easier. And I absolutely love that the stencil allows me to do some ink blending to get a really nice and colorful butterfly. So earlier you saw me show that butterfly. I just used all the same color with the stenciling, but here you see all the cards, all the various butterflies I do, it's all ink blended. Once I'm done, I use the coordinating dies to die cut the butterflies as well as the sentiments. And as per usual, I'm going to layer up the sentiments, and I use my liquid glue to do it because it just gives you a bit of dimension. And I like my sentiments to be a little bit like a chipboard, so it's nice and solid and it's easy to place onto the card. Just as the Glimmer card earlier, all I need to do with these beautiful butterflies is create a background. And I use the 3D embossing folder as well as the embossing folder of the month, January 2025, to create the backgrounds. You'll see me use the embossing folder later on. Whenever I dry emboss with an embossing folder, I spritz the back of the card panel with some water to soften the fibers so it reduces the chances of it cracking when it goes through the embossing machine. And I always also let it dry by placing it under some heavy objects so it dries straight. I'm attaching the panel here, the embossed panel, with some foam sheet behind it onto an A7 card. The card measures 5 inches by 7 inches. I wanted a slightly larger card so I can have more space to place the two butterflies. You can also place it onto an A2 card or an A6 card. I'm attaching some dimensional tape on the wings of the butterfly and some double-sided tape in the center of the butterfly, just so that it sticks out a little bit, just to give the butterflies a bit of dimension, and placing that sentiment that I hot foiled earlier there. I like the soft colors of the card, but I decided to add some tiny little flowers, petals, from the small die of the month, and I just kept it all in white. You'll see me assemble this if you check out the video on the small die of the month, which I've linked in the description below, so you can check it out. Easy enough to assemble. So I just wanted to keep it all white because I didn't want to introduce another color. And sometimes these tiny flowers do add to the card. I think it just gives it a little bit more elegance. I think it looks really pretty. And then I do add some gems to the center of the flowers and a little bit to the butterflies as well. When adding gems or tiny die cuts, having a media picker tool as well as a liquid glue bottle with a nice pointy tip really helps. You need to have the right tools to kind of create the cards that you want to. So I will definitely have my media picker tool all the time with me, and I use the art glitter glue nozzle with the fine tip to place the glue in a very precise manner. I do like how this ink blended butterfly turned out. I did add an extra layer so the color is a little bit more intense. Here's the embossing folder. It's a 2D embossing folder, the faceted petal. Remember about the 2D embossing folder and the 3D embossing folder have different sandwiches when you put it through your embossing machine. So do check out the manufacturer's guide on these different folders. If not, you could break your machine. Here I'm just going to attach it, and I'm using the debossed side here. I'm attaching it to the front of the card panel with some double-sided tape. I decide not to put any foam sheet to give it more dimension because I wanted to keep the card quite thin, as I've attached some foam squares on the wings of the butterflies. I always emboss the card panel slightly bigger so I can put it onto the front of the card base and just cut the excess off, and therefore you've got a nice flush debossed panel ready to place the butterflies. Here I've done a little bit of ink blending as well, but you can't really see it because I've just ink blended with the same color. So you've got a darker green in the middle or the center of the butterfly, and I've just got the butterfly has been hot foiled with a cobalt blue, and I've got the sentiment hot foiled in cobalt blue hot foil as well with a nice yellow background. I just kept all of these cards really simple, not too much fuss, because the elements, the main components are really, really pretty. Here are all the cards that I've created with the BetterPress of the month. I've done only hot foiling, and I've used the bonus item to do the ink blending. And here you've got the negative background from the elliptical weave from the Glimmer hot foil kit of the month, and the negative hot foil from the butterflies as well with the cobalt blue hot foil. So I just kept that really simple, and I absolutely adore this card, the colorful butterfly and the dark background that's been 3D embossed. I really hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And when you do subscribe, remember to press that notification bell so you're alerted when new videos are uploaded. All the products used are listed in the description below, so do check it out, as well as the blog hop that's been organized by Spellbinders for the Spellbinders Clubkits of January 2025. Here are all the cards that I've created, close-up pictures of them from the Glimmer hot foil kit of the month, as well as the BetterPress of the month, which I've used to do some hot foiling, and I've used quite a few of the other Spellbinders Clubkits from January 2025 to embellish the card for beautiful compositions. And I absolutely adore the fact that sentiments, be it from the clear stamp of the month or the BetterPress of the month, comes with coordinating dies, and it makes it so much easier to use it. And even the sentiments that come with the Glimmer hot foil kit of the month, it's easy enough to use your sentiment dies to die cut it to place it onto the card. I hope you're really inspired with all of the cards I've created, and I'd love to hear from you. So do leave me a comment and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll catch you at my next video. Take care.